And hello, everybody. Today you are greeted at AKK Media by a slightly under the weather Clockwork cast, but we are going to power through and talk to you about update 23.10.x. And I say point X because we've already got several patches to the patch, and we've got more of those coming. And I wanted to, since this is such a big patch, I wanted to give it a little bit of time to settle before I talked about it. And so we'll start out with the big thing, obviously, is the arbitrations, aka lethal alerts. And those are going to be always endless missions that appear in your regular alerts if you have completed every node on the star chart. If you've not completed every node of the star chart, or if you're not sure, head over to your relay of choice, visit the Arbiters of Hexus, and talk to the guy, and he'll tell you which things you haven't completed yet. Um, So the other thing about these is that they have a rotation of A, B, and then C for every rotation after that. So you're going to get better rewards starting at the third round, but each one takes twice as long to complete. So, uh, for example, an intersection mission, you're not going to complete one round, you're going to complete 2 rounds in order to be able to get those rewards for each rotation. But again, that's offset by the notion that if you stay longer, you get C rotation rewards. The main thing you're going to get in these is endo and statues. You're also going to get a new resource called Vitus Essence, which is basically a little recolored nitane. That's going to allow you to purchase some couple of different cosmetics. I feel personally that they really need to add in a reward for where you can trade in your Vitus Essence for maybe Kuva or maybe some stars for your statues that you're going to get from this. So this way, there's kind of an evergreen option to continue for people to want to play it. Um, so you're also going to get some special new mods. One of them you're going to want to really want, and that's called adaptation. And that's going to just kind of basically right now it's so powerful. I'm kind of waiting to really do any thorough testing with it because I feel like it's gonna get nerfed. It's just a little bit too powerful. It is a game-changing mod. I don't know if that was their intent, and I say that because most of the other mods that they put out were pretty trash. One of them is absolute trash. The other ones are possibly all right in situations, but adaptation is so powerful that it just it doesn't make sense. So I'm giving that a little bit of time before I go and mess with that. We have 2 new weapons in the dojo: the Pupe Assist and Falcor. Those are going to be each researchable in your labs for the Corpus and Infested, as you might suspect. For each one, the Pupe Assist being the Infested, the Falcor being the new glaive from the Corpus. Um, We've got a new skins for the dual daggers and the machete. I mean, cool, I guess. Uh, I feel like weapon skins, you barely see them at all unless it's a really exaggerated one. And while the machete one is pretty cool, machetes have been historically trash. So unless you were really looking to love to challenge yourself with a machete usage, then I don't know why you'd pick it up. The operator cosmetics that they launched, that whole system, was rolled back. It is not complete. It is not ready. They have a lot of stuff to fix on that. So if you saw the patch notes about it and you got really excited and you logged in, not ready yet. Give it some time. You'll get it pretty soon. We got some new Captura scenes. Um, what else do we got here? For the inventory, we got your relics now, so you can look at that in your own inventory. Um, see what else. So they made the junction stuff easier. If you're still fighting to get through the star chart, uh, just be happy about that, I guess. Daily tribute is part of. They revamped that now, so if you do reach the markers for the 100, 300, and 500 to get your weapons. Um, then you'll have a choice of those now, etc. After that, and honestly, a lot of people, they really freaked out about the Daily Tribute. It's not in its current form. It's pretty good now. I mean, it's better than it was. It's better for everybody, and I feel like anybody that was crying about newbies getting the weapons sooner than whatever, it's ridiculous. Um, I mean, I got stuck with the Azima for my first login reward, and I can never change that now. Would it have been nicer if I didn't have that? Yes, but the game is always constantly getting better and having more new opportunities for new players, so I don't really see why that's a bad thing because everybody else didn't get to suffer as much as you did. I mean, you know, back in my day, we used to walk uphill both ways to play Warframe. I don't know, whatever. A lot of people are gonna probably freak out about Saren. We got a Saren buff slash nerf combo. In that it looks like a nerf, but it's not, and it's really kind of a buff. It's a change, and it makes Saren a more active and useful frame overall. So to get into the nitty gritty of it, before you could cap the amount of targets that were going to scale your powers at 10. Now it's capped at 7. So that means that the damage rate that you increase over time with your spores is going to be less, right? Which means that she's not going to scale as well into the 5+ hour zone for those 3 people that are playing the missions that long where they have to wear diapers and IVs. For the rest of us that are maybe at most doing an hour, but more realistically doing 20 or 40 minutes until our weapons start to taper off, this is actually a pretty big buff. And what that means is that, first of all, you're going to have less players screaming about how they can't kill anything because you wiped the board, because those heavies will still be around and they can go shoot them in the face and feel like they're useful, and they'll feel like they're powerful and they get to do that. Meanwhile, while the trash mobs are cleared, new trash mobs are going to spawn, and then those heavies will then spread those spores to those new trash mobs, creating a more perpetually long cycle so that you don't have full board wipes as often, but that you're still constantly scaling for the most part. You'll still board wipe occasionally in later levels of ESO, but it's not going to be like early levels of ESO, like at board 1, where you're just totally clearing the map, and everybody's wondering what happened, and then they go, "Oh, there's a Saren in the group." Okay, so that's that, and then the other piece of it is that the 4. This is where it gets into a more active playstyle. Half base damage, but when you use it, it spreads your spores, which is good, and it also does 4 times damage to enemies with spores on them, which means really, if you have your range built correctly on your Saren, everybody has spores, so it's really doing double the damage it used to do, which is not bad. I mean, that's good, right? And it spreads your spores? Okay. Basically it just made the 4 enter into the kit into a more active playstyle. Yeah, you'd use your 4 before, but now you're actually going to put it in your regular rotation instead of just using, maybe your spores and maybe a lash, and then occasionally dropping your little skin on the floor. Now you actually have a reason to make sure that your 4 is in your rotation. So honestly, I think this is the best shape Saren's been in. It's a totally different Warframe from what we had a year ago, and I'm very, very happy with it. I think that was the best possible change they could have made to fix Saren, so that people stopped complaining about board wipes, in that she is now more powerful without wiping the board, which is pretty cool, right? Your Phantasma got some alt fire changes. We just got a whole ton of new effects in the dojo. I'm just going to take you guys real quick over with Saren here and check out some of the pretty new stuff. So this is a couple effects up here that I threw on this. Let's go run over. The most drastic thing I've done is probably over in the void portal here. And this gets a little crazy, the amount of effects I threw on this. So like this is just straight up, active void portal now. And then we've got this upgraded void torsion beam device up here. This thing this whole thing looks pretty cool now. Whereas before it was just kind of a dead room. Now it actually has a lot more life to it. And I think that you're going to be able to use those atmospherics to that effect. If you're a dojo decorator, if you're really into that, I know I am. Let's see, what else do we got here? We did get a couple new objects as well, some obsidian stones and some fan blades and stuff. Nothing, to write home about. It's like, all right, cool, new stuff that I'm probably gonna have to think a really long time about trying to fit anywhere into my 100 maxed out room dojo already. Like, so there's that. So we had a lot of sound changes. I feel like a lot of the sound changes were produced a less satisfying noise, particularly the Atarax. I run a lot with the Atarax, and yeah, I'm not happy with how that worked out. But I doubt they're going to roll it back because they just paid somebody a bunch of money to come up with a new sound. It feels less satisfying to me. It feels less like it's whipping through the air and more like it's whooshing through the air. Which I guess it would based upon the physics of the object, but you know, uh, I was happier with the old noise, so I guess I'll just go cry tears and salt, that sort of thing. This is another little effect I used here, to kind of create. I always wanted this to be kind of a whatchamacallit, uh, airlock. So now it's got a little force field on the airlock area, which is what I wanted, and now we have it. So yay, that's cool. Let's go look at space for a little bit while we talk about the rest of the patch notes. So your mods now kind of transfer pretty well between them, between your Kubros and Kavats, like not cross species, but um, uh, they separated companions and robots that way, so they just kind of uh, are a little bit better categorized. Archwing launchers are infinite now. Your Staticore is way better, so go revisit that weapon. It was already a good weapon. It just got a stupidly huge buff. It's such a stupidly huge buff, it feels weird. But maybe they're just trying to encourage different playstyle and bring out some stuff. So cool, Um, so yeah, basically, when you use your Staticore now, you're throwing bombs. Um, and then we got a bunch of optimization stuff. We got a bunch of bugs, I will say that. The Noggle heads, a lot of them are disappearing. Um, I know that just in the dojo, some of the effects now just stop working, and it's not like a single type of effect. It's just like it doesn't load as well. And I have a pretty high-end, PC and graphics card, so I'm pretty sure it's not on my side. Um, with full streaming capability for my router, I'm pretty sure it's not a me thing. Um, so that's the majority of it. There are some other things in here. There's a ton of small stuff, but I wouldn't, want to focus too long on it. Oh, yeah. And how about the prologue quest? I'll talk about that. I knew there was something I was forgetting. There's a ton in this patch. So, um, yeah, the prologue quest. Go to your orbiter, unlock your little IKEA frame, room there, and when you're inside there, the one across from the infested chair, um, you get a little quest starter. Make sure you bring, an appropriate frame with some weapons because you do have a tiny bit of fighting. Um, and you know, we'll go over some spoiler warning at this point. Um, so yeah, it's pretty cool. I liked it. I'm not going to ruin the whole thing for you, but you do get a pretty cool new sword. The key thing that you need to know about the sword is that you're going to want to put 5 forma on it, because each time you do, you get additional levels for it, and that is going to allow you to then um, basically you'll have your get your extra mastery, and you get a ton of capacity on this thing. It's a good weapon. All for playing 5 minutes of hide and seek with Ballast. It's good. Um, I would definitely recommend you go do that. The quest is pretty easy, but it's not about that. It's more about the story, which I thought was pretty cool. I was very happy with it. Um, you know, uh, just to I haven't fully finished doing my build out on it, but go ahead and put your stuff together. Let me know what you think. Tell me about the new sword. Tell me about the mods. Um, just give a little feedback. Like, subscribe, visit on Twitch, mash your face on the keyboard, drink a gallon of milk, run 2 miles, and yeah, that should cover it. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.